Hi there, it's Dr. Syra and welcome back to Therapist Thursdays. Today I want to talk to you about change. So change is in the air. It's in the air as we kind of emerge from this extended house arrest that we've been under. It's in the air as people around the world start waking up and speaking up around racism and injustice. Change is in the air, and it's in the air for many of us in our own personal lives as we kind of navigate what we want. I've been talking to a lot of friends and clients about how this time in isolation, whatever we call it, sheltering at home, has made us look at what really matters to us and trying to think of ways to change our lives or update or bring our lives to the same wavelength as the things that really matter. So I wanted to talk to you today about change and how do you actually step into change in a way that's thoughtful and will actually make that change meaningful and long lasting. So 3 steps, okay? So the 3 steps to change that I use in my life and I wanted to share with you. So the first step is brainstorming. And so brainstorming is about just getting all your ideas out there, like every idea, like even the ideas that seem a little crazy. So I'll give you an example. My husband and I are talking about, how do we simplify our lives? How do we keep this slower pace that we've been, doing for the last few months? How do we have a life like that? And so we're brainstorming. We're thinking, okay, maybe we stop the kids' activities. Maybe we homeschool. Maybe we move to a little island and live in an RV. Maybe everything, right? We're putting everything on the table. And that's the thing about brainstorming is that you start to get creative. You start to think about things that you've never really thought about before. And that makes space. That makes space for something new. I think for a really, really long time, many of us have just been kind of plodding along, not really moving in a particular direction. It seems to happen after we kind of meet the goal. So for me, it was, meet the goal, graduate high school, check. Meet the goal, get my master's, check. Meet the goal, get my PhD, check. Meet the goal, get my husband, check. Meet the goal, get my kid, check. Meet the goal, get my house, check. And then what? Then it's like day to day to day, just going to work and watching TV, going to work and eating out, it's just nothing happened after that. Nothing new, nothing exciting, nothing to look forward to. And so for us, for those of us in our 30s and 40s and 50s, it might have been a while since you've imagined a new life for yourself. And so that first step has to be the brainstorming, just letting the creative muse in you out and saying what are all the different ways I might be able to spend my life? And my husband and I go through this exercise probably once a year where we're like, do we move to India? Do we sell everything and buy a boat? What do we do? And just having that different way of living as an option. Now, we might not do any of it, but the idea is that we're starting to think about it. We're starting to put our minds to a different way of being. So that's first, is the brainstorming. The second is timing. So figuring out the timing, because you may feel like it's time for a change or you want to change, but that change might be time to make that change in 6 months, right? Or maybe 6 days. So it's really important about getting clear on the timing. Is now the right time? Is now the time to start, putting the feelers out? And that's what you're being called to do right now. Is now the time to take a really bold step? That timing piece is really, really important. And how do people always say, well, how do you figure that out, right? Because, and the bottom line is, and this is the thing that I've noticed with dozens and dozens and dozens and dozens of clients and so many workshops that I've run, is that most of the time, any decision that we make, we can look back and fit it into the narrative of our life story. Most of the time. We'll say, oh, okay, I see how when we did this, that led to that. And that's human nature, right? We're going to see our story in the best light when we look back. Because at the time, you don't know. There's 100,000 million different decisions that you could make on any given topic. Well, you have to pick one, and then you have to make it. And one of the things that I talk about a lot with my family is we can always change our minds. So this might feel like the right timing and we go for it and we give it a time block and we say, okay, we're going to try it for a year. We're going to try it for 5 years or whatever, or 6 months or 3 weeks or whatever it is, right? It could be a new hobby. It could whatever, but I'm talking about the big life changes. Timing is important, and you'll know if it's not the right time. You know how you know? Too many barriers. Too many obstacles will come up, blocking you. And then okay, this isn't the right timing for this big plan that I have. Now, one of the things that I have said to many of my loved ones is this phrase, and this is the phrase that kind of kept us trusting our next steps, and that is this or something better. So what do we pray for? We pray for this or something better, right? So brainstorm, timing, and then the third thing, which is actually action. And action, one of the things that we often don't think about when we think about action is the grieving of what you're leaving behind. I've seen so many people make really big and meaningful changes in their lives and not really taking the time to grieve what they're leaving behind. And then it pops up, 6 years later, where you feel you have all this grief and you don't know why. It's because you didn't actually allow yourself the room to grieve what you're leaving behind. Now, some things you want to leave behind, like a racist regime, love to leave that behind, right? But some people benefited from that. And so there might be a grieving process for some people as these changes are happening around them. They might have to lose something. And it's important to acknowledge that. So those are my thoughts about change, whether it's a personal change in your own life, whether it's a change in your community, or whether it's that bigger global change that's happening all around us. 3 things. First, we want to be able to brainstorm what are all the different ways and then pick one. Second, timing. Be clear about the timing. And then third, just moving to action. So this is Therapist Thursdays. Please help and support this work and this mental health content by subscribing to our YouTube channel, Dragonfly Wellness TV, putting out lots of content every week, and leave us a comment below. Let us know what it is that you're ready to change in your life so that we can just continue this conversation. We'll see you next Thursday. Bye.